Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Halo Reach game recap series. Today we will be looking at the Long Night of Solace, and with that said, let's get started.
Our foe is more devious than we imagined. That spire was indeed a teleporter linked to a cloaked Covenant supercarrier, a grave threat. Thankfully, help is imminent. 60% of the UNSC fleet is en route to Reach from existing deployments. The first battle group should arrive within 48 hours.
48 hours? That's imminent? Uh-oh. Who's your money on this time?
Her.
You always pick her.
She's always had him dialed in.
That thing's crushing us and we're waiting for backup. They'll be backing up a graveyard.
All our nukes are either out system or went down with the ships that carried them. You're preaching to the converted.
How converted?
I know that look, Cat.
You can say no.
No.
You don't even want to hear it.
Fine, I'll hear it.
Remember that accident a couple of years back? Colony ship en route to Cygnus, 700 dead.
Vaguely a slip space drive malfunction, right?
Actually, it worked fine. The drive was mounted improperly after a service haul-out. When it fired, it teleported half the ship to oblivion.
And this is relevant. How?
A certain Covenant supercarrier could, with some assistance, suffer the same unfortunate accident.
Even for you, Cat, that's
Inspired?
not the word I would use.
What's going on?
Go ahead. Explain.
May I?
Don't cut yourself.
Objective: destroy Covenant carrier in geosynchronous orbit above us.
This sanctioned, sir.
What do you think?
Method: a slip space drive in lieu of the nukes we don't have. Delivery system: us. Solvable: getting us up there. That and getting our hands on a slip space drive. Thank you for sharing.
So, all we need is orbit-capable transport and the single most expensive piece of equipment made by man.
As a soldier in the field, I couldn't possibly have access to those kinds of resources. That said, a good place to look might be, I don't know, the nearest non-existent launch site in the non-existent Saber program dismissed by 3 administrations as preposterous rumor, and in which our newest member was certainly never a pilot.
You're scary. You know that.
All we need is a green light from Holland.
Good luck with that.
You're the one asking him.
Well, there's no way in hell he's gonna go for this.
Bit of a hike to the launch facility.
Any closer is too hot to land.
Copy that, Commander.
Move up the beach, Noble.
Okay, so before we get started, I do want to say that I know this is a long video, but that is because there's a lot of cutscenes in this, and the cutscenes are very long. So, yeah, I'm going to start with talking about the Saber program. So, well, the launch facility first, the research range. Basically, there isn't really much information about these specific things like the Saber program and the research range because it was almost all of it was covered in blanking by Uni. By Oni, I mean, not Uni. RIP. But, yeah, so what we do know is that the facility fell under attack. Well, was under attack by the Covenant after the Battle of Very ended, and probably the only reason that the Covenant attacked this that we know of was maybe because they wanted to destroy the Sabers, the experimental Sabers. But as we're seeing right now, the Noble team like stopped their complete takeover of the facility and drove the assault back before they could destroy the sabers that they would later use. So all we know about the actual saber program is that Noble 6, he was part of it at some point, and he was a pilot in one of the ships. What else is there? It was an experimental program conducted by Oni, obviously, intended to develop a well-armed, maneuverable, surface-launched space superiority starfighter. So basically, what they were doing, what Oni wanted, was to create the best starfighter they could possibly create. And what they came up with was the YSS-1000 Sabre-class starfighter. The launch site was also used as orbital defense of the inner colonies. Yeah, the thing at this point, the whole Sabre program was basically a rumor. Nobody thought that this was this was real because of how classified it was. The Sabres, the Sabres were used for Operation Uppercut, where, yeah, so here, like, they were used, like, later on, they would be used in the Operation Uppercut to defend Anchor 9 and board the Covenant corvette. To board the Covenant corvette Ardent Prayer as part of a plan to destroy the Long Night of Solace. Which everything worked well, except for one really important casualty, in my opinion, because who doesn't like George? Just like, best character, who doesn't like George?
6, get to the Sabre before the Covenant wreck.
What about you and Cat?
June's on his way with a Falcon. We'll exfil after you launch. Move.
You heard him, 6. Let's go.
Okay, so now we will continue to talk about we will continue to talk about Ro Barutami, the Sankuli Supreme Commander of the Fleet of Valiant Prudence. And he, in particular, was on the Long Night of Solace, which ends up getting destroyed, so he ends up dying on with the destruction of the Long Night of Solace.
First stage engine burn nominal. Stage separation in 3, 2, 1. Stage separation. Second stage ignition confirmed.
Noble Actual to Sabre Bravo 029er, over. Copy Actual. Colonel Holland. Affirmative, Noble 5. Welcome to Operation Uppercut. I'll be your control from here on out. Understood, Colonel. Noble 6, these Sabres have been customized for orbital defense. You may need to get reacquainted. Rendezvous at Anchor 9 with Frigate Savannah and the other Sabres as soon as you're ready. Holland out.
Okay, I think that's it. With the talking cutscene, obviously. So, yeah. I also want to say before we continue the lore, I'm sorry if I talk over them at some points. I'm just not really paying attention to the whole, well,
6. We should head for the savannah.
well, when I'm talking over, I'm not really paying attention to the video that much, so I might talk over some of the cutscenes.
Savannah actual to Saber teams. Be advised, we have bogeys inbound. Anchor 9 to all UNSC ships. Station defenses are down. Requesting combat support until we can bring them back online.
Here we go, 6. Show them what you can do.
Okay, so let's continue with the whole lore.
Defensive batteries are at 56%. Hang in there, Saber teams.
His crew was called the were called the Devoted Sentries, and they were handpicked elites, well, zealots, in exact. Well, not elites, I mean zealots. They were handpicked zealots from the Ministry of Fervent Intercession.
Take advantage of fire. Bogey has me locked.
Okay. From... Oh. I correct myself. Apparently the fate of Roe is unknown, but he was presumably killed with the explosion end of the Long Night of Solace. Okay, so before we get started with everything that happened in the Battle of Reach, I'm going to say that he himself, Roe, did not care.
Impulse drive signatures detected. Fighter class. Heads up, Sabers.
Did not care about the whole Covenant campaign thing, to be exact.
Use your guns to take down their shields, then hit them with your missiles.
But he cared about, he was completely obsessed with Forerunner, anything to do with with the Forerunners at all. Like, he was completely obsessed. And he actually, apparently, he arrived at Reach by mistake. He was sent there because of, apparently he was tracking a Forerunner artifact that was on Reach. What I assume was that it was that really big Forerunner. That really big Forerunner ship. Oh my lord.
Anchor 9 to all UNSC ships. Station defenses are back online. Clear the lane. We'll light them up.
So, he was tracking that big Forerunner ship that was underground in one of the missions that I will talk about later. Basically, his obsession was he was trying to track. He basically was tracking a bunch of artifacts, right? A bunch of Forerunner artifacts that he thought that if he pieced them all together, he would find the fabled city of the Forerunner called Maithrillion. And apparently, he thought that the one on Reach, he didn't know it was Reach, the one that he was tracking when he got to Reach was what he thought would be the last one, the most important one, and then after he found it, he would be able to find Maithrillion. And this, as I said before in the first episode, this is one of the reasons that they didn't completely destroy the planet. Because they could have, but they were actually too scared of destroying the artifacts. So, with that said, he did arrive too early before the actual Covenant invasion, but he decided to attack anyways because he's a mad lad. No. yeah, he decided to attack anyways. If you guys, probably because he was ordered to while he was there, or he just really wanted to find the relics. He was really obsessed with finding the relics. So he went to try to find them, right? What any obsessed person would do, instead of waiting for the whole army, the whole Covenant army.
Anchor 9 to all UNSC fighters. Multiple inbound Phantoms, headed straight for our defensive batteries. Saber team, we're marking high-value gunboat targets.
Yeah, other than that, like what I said last episode, that last level, they destroyed its cloaking device. And the long knife Solace could only be reached by Ardent Prayer. Oh yeah, long knife Solace, that's the cloaking device one, and that it could only reach the actual ship, could only be reached via the Ardent Prayer. Well, by the UNSC, I'm assuming that was the only way for them to get inside, was through that ship. Okay,
You got a fighter on your tail! Strike!
apparently he was a replacement for...
Ships, all targets neutralized. Bravo 029er, you are clear to dock. Activating marker.
Oh no, okay.
Holland to Bravo 029er. Noble 5, you ready to go? Affirmative, Colonel.
So Ro was later replaced by Vadami, whatever his name is, like the Arbiter, right?
I'm out here, 6.
Warning. M-Spec re-entry pack disengaged.
I need your override.
Warning. M-Spec re-entry. Cockpit depressurization complete. Canopy release lever armed.
Max Sabadok Siba.
Noble 5, please repeat.
Pull up surface grid 19 by 22.
Gladly. Only sword base, sector 18G.
Thermal enhance.
Noble 5, your pulse is elevated. There is nothing you can do for Dr. Halsey and the others inside sword base. The mathematics are determinate. Noble 5?
I know.
Bravo 29er, you're cleared to re-engage thrusters. Noble 6, this is Holland.
Go ahead, Colonel.
We've flagged a Corvette-class vessel on a predicted docking track with our target. Get our makeshift bomb on that Corvette, and we have our delivery system. Noble 5 will escort the bomb. I need your Saber team to clear the way for boarding.
Understood, Colonel.
As she's already donated her slip space drive to the cause, the Savannah will be joining you to provide local fire support.
UNSC Savannah. Our wings may be clipped, but we've got your back.
I've stuck my neck out for Noble on this one, Lieutenant.
We'll get it done, Colonel. 6 out.
Target corvette sighted within visual range of nav beacon RA-15.
We have visual. Target confirmed.
Frigate Savannah in position. Saber team, sound off.
Echo 1, all systems nominal.
Echo 2, good to go. Echo 3, systems green.
Echo 4, all systems online.
Solid copy. We are currently jamming the Corvette's comms. Hit it hard while it can't call for help.
Agreed. Saber teams, clear a path to that Corvette. Got a bogey in hot pursuit.
So
Might want to
before...
clip her engines, Colonel. See if we can slow her down.
Good thinking, Savannah. That'll make boarding her a whole lot easier. Noble 6, I'm marking targets. Take out the Corvette's main engines.
Okay, so before I start with the whole lore of George, I do want to say that this game Like, the way that George reacts to the whole Halsey thing on Sword Base, and how it's just Sword Base is being completely overwhelmed. Yeah, it's just humanizing the Spartans, I think, is amazing. And before, obviously with Chief, he was just like this big, overpowered person. Obviously, he did show emotion, just not to the level as the Spartans here. Spartan 3s and 2s.
Heads up, Sabers.
In reach.
Multiple impulse drive signatures detected. More bogies incoming.
Echo 2 to Savannah Actual. Where are the reinforcements coming from? I thought the target was jammed.
Must be squadrons coming back from patrol, Echo 2.
Don't let any of them get away, Sabers. Kill them before they bug out and warn that super carrier what we're up to. Wow, you know your way around to save.
Another for me! Taking a shot.
Okay, so George 05K. He was a Spartan 2 commando of the UNSC Navy Special Warfare Command. He is Chief Warrant Officer. And he is attached to the Special Warfare Group 3. He fought during the Fall of Reach, obviously, in the game in 2552, and he is Noble 5.
Weapons hot.
George was born on Palhaza on Reach in the 5th of March 2511. He was abducted like the rest of Spartan 2s and conscripted into the program by Dr. Halsey in 2517. Like the rest of the Spartan 2s, he was around 6 years old. When he was on Reach, he was trained by the AI Deja and the Chief Petty Officer Mendez, which was the same with the rest of the Spartan 2s. And obviously, like, this all like basic stuff in 2525, all of the candidates, including George, went through augmentations. George, obviously, was one of the ones who survived the process, and it was successful on him. George was in Noble Team. Yeah, George was Noble 5.
Indicate a structural weakness surrounding a platform on top of the vessel.
Noble 6, set down immediately on that Corvette's topside landing pad. Noble 6, the Savannah's countermeasures won't work forever. Find a way inside and permanently disable that cruiser's communications. As soon as we're sure the Corvette can't squawk, we'll initiate uppercut phase 2.
You know what? Just tell me after, in the comments below, if you don't mind me just talking over anything that's on the cutscenes, because I will. Because it's actually taking me so long to just wait. So, back to George. So, George was in Noble Team, Noble 5, as I said, in 2552. He was a heavy weapon specialist, and the only Spartan 2 that was on the team.
Noble 6, the Savannah's countermeasures won't work forever. Find a way inside and permanently disable that cruiser's communications. As soon as we're sure the Corvette can't squawk, we'll initiate uppercut phase 2.
Before the Fall of Reach, George, with the other members of Noble Team, were... Okay. Give me a second. There's so much going on in my head right now. See, these bloopers, this is like the best part of the lore of this whole video. Me just screwing up lore. Obviously, if you guys want me to actually script everything and put everything not like how it comes to my head, write it in the comments below.
Enemy comm relay is now offline.
Copy that. Halting countermeasures, diverting all power and personnel to weapons.
All right, Noble. Let's get that slip space bomb on board. 6, head for the hangar.
So, as I was saying before the full reach,
Colonel,
George.
on our way to the hangar.
Yeah, come on,
Noble
George.
5, meet him there. Affirmative. On approach.
George, his noble team, was investigating an incident at the Vice Guard relay. So that's the first level, around the first level. Yeah, the noble team just partook in a lot of operations against the Covenant forces on the surface of Reach. Obviously the counter offensive operations on Sword Base and their operations to destroy Spire 1. So at the moment we know much more. We do know more about George, but honestly it would take me ages. If you guys just want, I'm just gonna do a brief overlook on everybody, and if you guys want a more detailed explanation on every single character in the lore, just tell me in the comments below and I will certainly do that. I will make a lore video on each and every one of the Spartans in Noble Team, and then as well in the Halo games, because there was obviously a lot of information about George while he was training, so before he was in the Noble Team. And yeah, but honestly, I also need to, yeah, but that's all I'm gonna say right now. Just a brief overview of the character, not going into anything real depthy about him. But
Keg is aboard, Colonel.
Copy that. 6, get your fire team to the bridge. The Corvette's refueling run with the super carrier will have to be initiated manually.
Yes, sir.
5, stay with the bomb. Discourage the curious.
My pleasure. Hear that, Lieutenant? I'll be all by my lonesome back here. Make it quick, would ya?
though I will say
Noble 6,
that
get that Corvette moving toward the super carrier. Head for the bridge. Find the nav controls.
Got plenty of arms and ammo if you need them, Spartan.
I will say, I feel like George is one of the more sentimental ones. He has strong feelings about, well, everything really, and he cares about his family and his home so much. I feel like this is way more than most Spartan 2s. No, Spartan 3s, I mean, not 2s. Because 3s, they some of them were a bit older.
Sustaining major structural damage. We need to break off, Colonel.
Copy, Savannah. Our team is in. Disengage.
Some of them were teenagers and stuff, well, in 3s. But in Spartan 2s, they were all... They were all brought up in the same place from 6, which is extremely young. And honestly, like, they have a lot of resemblance.
Nothing we can do. Noble, you're in deep with no cover. Get that Corvette moving and get the hell out of there.
Looks like the bridge, Spartan. Let's clear it out.
He reminds me a lot of Chief, of Master Chief in that respect, that he would do anything for his planet and for his friends. This Dr. Halsey said this in Fall of Reach. He said, "George, Noble 5, it's good to see him home again, but the Fall of Reach will weigh heavily upon him, and this mission will test every last ounce of his strength." Yeah. Honestly, George, I feel like George was one of the most sentimental, was one of the most human characters, to say the least. He wasn't a robot. He was a human. Well, not a human, but... Well, yeah, human, right? That's what you classify them as? Yeah, he was a human. So, now, that being said, he did die, obviously, in this level right now, and that is in August the 14th in the year 2552, when he was 41 years old.
Got it. Well done, Noble 6. Uppercut initiated. Corvette is underway.
6, I'm right out of here. It's taking heavy fire. Get back to the hangar.
And his George, which is a bit of like a little fact, he named his personal heavy machine gun Etilka, which is a Hungarian name for noble. But Spartans never die, only MIA. Which is funnily enough, that's what they wrote in when he was listed down in the Halo Reach Legendary Edition developer commentary. He was listed as MIA. Yeah, so now I'm just gonna talk over last few minutes of this.
Good of you to come. I'll start pounding the hell out of a pelican.
Okay. So here, like, what I was doing, basically what I was doing, right there, I was, I wasn't really paying much attention to the game, because I was on a call with somebody else, so if you see me just stop randomly, this is what I'm doing. Yeah, honestly, I feel like this level is one of the longest levels I have ever done. It is so long. So long. Because of all the cutscenes. And yeah, you'll probably be seeing me trying to do a few no scopes or 360. No scope, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm just having a bit of fun right there. Trying to hit a few things. I'm sorry if it outsynced a little bit when I was doing this. I kind of paused the video software and while the audio recording software was still going, so it might be a little bit out of sync. Yeah, so this, I feel like holding out levels, they're good, they're fun. And in this game, yeah, there isn't really too much of holding out levels. There's a couple of them throughout the game. I think there's like one every 2 levels or like something like that, but so there isn't really that much. So we're basically just gonna be in one big firefight until the end of the game. Right now, the only thing that I think about when there are these really long firefights is that, what was it? Wait, my brain. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the same. Yeah, I got stuck. Oof. But yeah, the thing that I think about long firefights is that I feel like that's just a way of making Legendary more difficult, if you get what I mean. Because Reach Legendary is already one of the hardest. Obviously not the hardest, because Halo 2 Legendary is going to be actually hell on earth, especially on solo when I do the challenge, the achievements. Yeah, it's just one big firefight. So I just try to make it as fun as possible. Since I'm playing this normal, I don't really have to worry too much. I try to go for as many skips as possible. I'm to practice. As you can see, I'm not the best. So this is gonna be the last cutscene. It is very sad. First time I watched this, I almost cried. So have fun.
There's no way back up to the Sabres. Level 6, form up on me.
Distance is closing on this vessel's refueling track with the Covenant supercarrier. 76 seconds to end point.
So, it's gonna be like that. Well, I got good news and bad news. This bird took some fire and our thruster gimbal is toast, which means the only way off this slag heap is gravity.
And the good news?
That was the good news.
At current velocity, 53 seconds to end point.
Yeah.
Bad news is, time is fried. I'm gonna have to fire it manually.
That's a one-way trip.
We all make it sooner or later. Better get going, Six. They're gonna need you down there. Listen, Reach has been good to me. Time has come to return the favor. Don't deny me this. Tell him to make it count.
Slip space rupture detected.
Gamma station control, reading multiple pings below the orbital defense
Slip
grid.
space rupture detected.
Yeah, we're picking up anomalies too. Are you reading
Slip
it?
space rupture detected.
Multiple covenant signatures.
Slip space
Is anyone
rupture
listening?
detected.
They're everywhere.
Slip space rupture
Must be
detected.
the whole damn covenant
Slip
fleet.
space rupture detected.
yeah, so that's the end. As you can see, what they were set out to do was completed, but at the death of one of my favorite characters in the Halo games. With that said, very good level. Definitely sets up the complete chaos and the fear that came with the whole Covenant fleet arriving after this. They thought it was a big win, but then they just see the Covenant fleet and it's just the end of everything. Thank you guys a lot for watching. Next time, will we be playing the level Exodus? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, thank you guys. I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.